Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 469 of the Ping Pong Flix Show, and I got some DC updates. Before that, though, I want to give you an update. I found out who sent me this BVS Motion Pictures official vinyl and the soundtrack. And I want to thank Jonathan Ayala, Ayala. Sorry if I butchered your name, but or at John Van Dam 214. Thank you so much for sending that. That is awesome. BVS has one of the best soundtracks ever, and one day I'll hopefully able to listen to the entire score. But the score here, and I have actual vinyl player somewhere back there. It was my grandma's one, and hopefully we'll play it, and I think it will. But just having it in my hands, and the amount of artwork and stuff in here is so awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. All right, now on to the news. This is kind of interesting. At first stupid, but interesting nonetheless. Warner Brothers signs deal for AI-driven film management system. This is an exclusive from The Hollywood Reporter. The studio has made a pact with Synalytic to use its project management system that was launched last year. Resistance is futile. Warner Brothers has become the latest studio to publicly embrace artificial intelligence. The movie division has signed a deal with Synalytic to use the latter's AI-driven project management system that was launched last year. Under the new deal, Warner's will leverage the system's comprehensive data and predictive analytics to guide decision-making at the green light stage. The integrated online platform can assess the value of a star in any territory and how much a film is expected to make in theaters and on other ancillary streams. Founded 4 years ago by Tobias Quasar, Synalytic has been building and beta testing the platform for 3 years. In 2018, the company raised $2.25 million from TMB Media Global and signed deals with Ingenious Media, blah, blah, blah. While the platform won't necessarily predict what will be the next $1 billion surprise like Warner's hit Joker, it will reduce the amount of time executives spend on low-value, repetitive tasks and instead give them better dollar figure parameters for packaging, marketing, and distribution decisions, including release dates. The platform is particularly helpful in the festival setting, where studios get caught in bidding wars and plunk down massive sums after only hours of assessment, as happened with the New Line Cinema's $15 million acquisition of Blinded by Light out last year's Sundance Film Festival. The Synalytic AI's insight might also have altered decision making on some of Warner's misfires from 2019, such as The Kitchen, Shaft, and Godzilla King of the Monsters. So the system can calculate in seconds what used to take days to assess by a human when it comes to general film package evaluation or a star's worth. Adds Totus Keys, Senior VP Distribution. We make tough decisions every day that affect what and how we produce and deliver films to theaters around the world. And the more precise our data is, the better we will be able to engage our audiences. Still, Hollywood fancies itself as a town that operates on gut instinct rather than algorithms, for better or for worse. And unlike Silicon Valley, the industry has been slow to use AI for more menial tasks like script breakdowns, fearful that it will take away jobs and make humans obsolete. Quasar counters that narrative. Artificial intelligence sounds scary, but right now an AI cannot make creative decisions. What it is good at is crunching numbers and breaking down huge data sets and showing patterns that would not be visible to humans. But for creative decision making, you still need experience and a gut instinct. At first, I was like, this is stupid. It does sound like we're letting a computer system and artificial intelligence let us know what movies they're going to make, and especially some of the tweet headlines for this. It really sounded like they're just executives are just giving up and saying, hey, let's have a computer let us know what stars are good, what everything is, right? And you're thinking about that, and I'm like, well, you're thinking about it, and I'm like, I mean, it kind of is what they're actually been doing this whole time. I think companies do that. They get some type of system, not necessarily very sci-fi, and say, "Oh, it's AI driven." You know, it's like a system, an algorithm that can get details on what is popular, what is trending, for instance, on Twitter, things that people are talking about a lot, and how do we capitalize that? I think YouTubers do that as well. For some people who can, really get into it and find out, hey, I want this, especially like Marvel movies. Oh, if I talk a lot about Marvel movies, everybody's talking about Marvel movies and stuff like that. Star Wars, if something new Star Wars, they see it's trending, talk about it, and then it will trend on YouTube and stuff, something like that. So I can see the viability of that, and them just coming out and saying this is what we're doing. They've already been doing it, but they're like officially saying that they're doing it. And what does that mean for like things like Joker? I mean, Joker was popular because of the almost, the kind of propaganda, not the propaganda, well, the kind of controversy, I guess you could say that, on Twitter and social media about whether it's going to incite violence, and it gets, actually it all that drove to make it popular enough for people want to go on and watch it. And so that kind of was interesting in itself, right? Now, I want to read something that I found the most interesting and the most viable for this type of system, and this is coming from Carlos Digital, Bob Diggy. We've talked about him before. He's made some good stuff lately, and so he said this is exactly what the AT&T move and John Stankey, have been telegraphing since the purchase. Insert tech into business choices. This is why a good footprint of demand is important. Keep the course. We know what we have to do now. This gives us some additional strength, in my opinion. Dave Dodgers is kind of at a loss, but, Carlos explains, basically all big business today are using AI to create projections. Exactly. What they are doing here is having a tool that will tell them, if I use this creative team, these actors, how much interest, therefore how much money can I make. It's kind of weird because it feels like a popularity tool. Really, other companies like Netflix use this, so perhaps that's how they went to Snyder. Hard to tell how it all works. Believe me, but believe we tie into the analytics. And I think one of this, which is very important, and why we did things like try to trend on Twitter, and we kept doing that. We kept trending on Twitter. We kept bringing that Snyder Cut conversation into Twitter. And so the companies like Warner Brothers and seemingly Zack may have been able to, and possibly able to, kind of get more attention on it, even getting the actors and actresses to support the Snyder Cut, the crew to support the Snyder Cut, and keeping the attention on it, and having more and more people wanting to release the Snyder Cut as well. The attention is big. So, and that could have been AI driven. They could have looked at the analytics, which we wanted them to do, either Warner Brothers or Warner Media or HBO Max or however it's going to work, or AT&T and themselves, and say, hey, what is up with this Snyder Cut, and how do we capitalize this? If that is the case, then all this conversation, these analytics, these trending topics that is Snyder Cut is actually working. It's working. It would be working because they would not be able to miss that analytic. If people in the movement can bring up graphs and charts and say, or even Stephen Colbert and McD, they both put up charts before on Twitter to show how much we're trending, how much the conversation of Snyder Cut is spiking and stuff like that. If AT&T is utilizing this AI system, then they must have saw that and said, hey, I think we can capitalize on the Snyder Cut. Let's do something about this. So, or it on also other stuff as well. They want to see what people are talking about. They want to see this and they see that, and they want to see where the interest is in what people are actually looking, instead of just relying on gut instincts from Warner Brother executives that really wanted to do what Marvel did. Right? They just wanted to copy and paste that thing, but they wanted to dig deeper now. So it makes it. I could see it being a double-edged sword, though. Like if they're seeing that maybe perhaps even Henry Cavill is not a very good popular actor possibly, but he really ramped up his career by going to Mission Impossible. Now with Witcher, and you see headlines, Witcher is being more popular than Mandalorian. That could have raised eyebrows and says, oh, okay, maybe we can keep him as Superman, so there is maybe a basic thing to that. Even having Dwayne Johnson, who is popular, I mean, that's also gut instincts as well, and people know, but it may help them, but I'm hoping they don't rely it into the fact that it's supposed to be like this. They need to have, in certain cases, some gut instinct, or else Joker would not have happened, right? They need some gut instinct for certain things so that independent movie makers will be able to make original films. Because if all they're doing is making turnkey, just blockbuster films because most people only know this actor, then other actors who are rising would never shine, right? We would never have seen Ray Fisher. We would have never seen Ezra Miller. We would have never had even Jason Momoa come to the point where he is now, or even Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, because it wasn't trending. It wasn't things. We don't need them to just actively search for celebrities, right? So it is a double-edged thing, but I can see how it could be a pro and a con. But in the case of the Snyder Cut, I think it's a pro because we really got it trending, and hopefully that AL-driven film management system picked that up, and that's where I want to leave off with that. And hopefully they also see the usage of David Ayer, the Suicide Squad. It didn't even come out in China and made over $700 million worldwide. It was a success, and I don't see how anybody would have said otherwise. And there was this one movie that he has been talking about, Gotham City Sirens. He's hinted about it, and he was supposed to do it, and then it just kind of disappeared. We don't know what happened. Bright 2 apparently still in the works. This is coming from a Television Critics Association panel, and they had an interview, and they finally got him to say what's going on with Gotham City Sirens. So he confirms that it's on hold. His real sentence is this: no, I think it's on pause, meaning that he's still, there is still a Gotham City Sirens project. It's just on pause right now. And like this Slash Film says, it does make sense. If Birds of Prey is a hit, Warner Brothers will likely want a sequel tying up Margot Robbie for the foreseeable future. They've already gotten a new the Suicide Squad, but this could also have a vision to push a Gotham City Sirens. Now, Gotham City Sirens is something that David Ayer wanted to do. And to hear him that it's on pause, that means it's still in the works. There's still a chance he's going to make it. It is really good news. It almost feels like, and I don't want to give you too much hope on that, but it almost feels like the old regime is back. Like, not all of them, but in the case of the original idea, I mean, that would be fantastic, and I think everything would make total sense if and when the Snyder Cut comes out, and I'm thinking when at this point. Whether that will tie into the universe or not, we'll have to wait and see. But if they are willing to tie that in somehow, David Ayer coming back even after that Suicide Squad and be able to make a movie for Warner Brothers again is really awesome. And I think hopefully this time they'll leave him alone. Gotham City Sirens sounds really exciting as well. And I would totally love to see his version of it. And speaking of just what could possibly be going on, don't know yet, but this is interesting as well, talking about how the old things are coming back. The old DCEU is almost kind of coming back, maybe Flash movie, that hashtag show, won't feature the Flashpoint we expect, says director. This is an exclusive. They were talking about something else, but he was able to talk a little bit about the movie. Now, this is coming from him. When pressed for details, he simply replied that the Flash movie, will present a different version of Flashpoint than you're expecting. A different version of Flashpoint than you're expecting. The one thing that caught my eye about this is the fact that he himself brought out the term Flashpoint, right? He said Flashpoint himself. He's not, you don't know. Maybe the context, some hashtag show did ask him, is it going to be Flashpoint? Is it going to have to do with time? You know, we don't know that. But just judging from this article and judging from that, the quotation of that title came from Andrew Muschietti himself, that's saying that it will be a different kind of Flashpoint, is interesting. And now half the people are thinking this is a bad idea, and thinking this should be a Flash solo film, not Flashpoint yet. You know, those are like the comic book, really, you know, they want to go by the book, you know, go slow, you know, things like that. And then the other, you know, other part are kind of excited because Flashpoint was like the original idea for the DCEU, in terms of Rick Famuyiwa probably even had, that was the movie that was supposed to happen. That might have been the case as well. I'm not sure, but it does, when you factor in that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was cast as Batman, was cast as Thomas Wayne, that he was going to be Batman at one point. You don't cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan unless it's going to be not just a one-off role, but a badass role, and it would have been a Thomas Wayne version of Batman, right? So that was in Flashpoint as well. So when you look at that, and I'm going to go into a little later how it's possible they were trying to play up the Jason Momoa gal, the Wonder Woman, and Arthur Curry kind of, you know, tension there as well. But anyway, so he said Flashpoint, and Flashpoint is a movie about time travel, right? It's a movie about, well, not a movie, well, in the animated movie, but it's a story about Flash going back into time to save his mom and altering that universe entirely, changing the effects of that universe, changing the future, the present, and the future, and so we get different iterations of the same characters played by the same that same person. It's just a different character. It's a different Superman. It's a different Wonder Woman. Different Aquaman, etc., etc. With the exception of Thomas Wayne being Batman instead of Bruce Wayne, because Bruce Wayne dies. So, with that in mind, some people were wondering if this is going to be that reboot. If it's indeed going to be Flashpoint, is this the reboot people were talking about? That they want to soft reboot the universe? And I'm like, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think we have to kind of think about this a little bit, because if they're really doing Flashpoint is about time travel within that same universe. It's not like they are, if it's a time travel element and it's within the DCEU, Ben Affleck is still the Batman. It's not like they're going to time travel, save his mom, and let his mom die again, come back, and all of a sudden it's a Robert Pattinson Batman. People are suggesting that this Flashpoint reboot is going to soft reboot and have a way to get Robert Pattinson's Batman into the DCEU, without even knowing if the Robert Pattinson Batman is going to work, because they're filming right now. And I want to say about that is that I think that might be weird. I think that would be something that the media bloggers want to just kind of bring up in their heads, to saying maybe that's how they're going to make Robert Pattinson's thing to work. They're still thinking that it's a possibility that Robert Pattinson is going to be the Batman for the new universe. I still say Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to be his own universe, and Matt Reeves is only going to concentrate on making his trilogy of Batman films. Robert Pattinson is only concentrating on the character study of Batman, and he wants to just stay in that universe. He's not ready to sign up for an entire cinematic universe. So I'm just, for me, that doesn't make sense, especially when you're going into a multiverse type of level of thinking. Flashpoint is not a multiverse type of level of thinking. Flashpoint is a time travel level of thinking. It's in the same universe, altering time, and he changes back. And once he changed back that time, you don't change Batman to another Batman. Batman stays the same Batman. But if you're talking about like Infinite Crisis or something to do with a multiverse, then maybe that essentially could happen as well. So There is that. So, in my opinion, I do not think at all, and for 1 second, that they are going to try to bring Robert Pattinson into the universe. And if that actually happens, then I'm going to eat my words and say I'm totally wrong. But right now, I just don't see it that way. But what I do see, the interesting thing about this Flashpoint is in terms of how this is being played out. This is Flashpoint. It's going to have Thomas Wayne as Batman. And there are certain things that have happened that really piqued our interest in terms of Flashpoint and Tinfoil, if you will. Carlos once again said this up. Something is definitely up. Jeffrey Dean Morgan hints at Mask Return. Joe Manganiello tags Flashpoint at a Slayer concert. Now we hear the Flash film is related to Flashpoint. Yes, do you remember this? He did say, here's to a masked comeback in 2020. I don't know when Flash is filming, but maybe he's signing something. This is still a tinfoil area now. Now I don't know if any of this is going to happen, but it does kind of connect the dots a little bit. And, you know, we could all be wrong about this, but it is fun to speculate. So, mass comeback. Joe Manganiello, pictured here with Jason Momoa. For some reason, says backstage at Slayer with Jason and Ian. Hashtag Flashpoint. Why did he hashtag Flashpoint? Is it did any of these people cameo, or was this in the Flashpoint TV series? And there was a Flashpoint TV series, it was like a military or a police drama or something like that. Or what is this? Why did he say that? And it's just. It kind of just makes you really wonder what exactly is going on with this. Is there a chance to have this type of this Flashpoint that's happening here? Now, we go on a little further. This is already getting into the Snyder Cut stage, but I think this kind of melds itself well to this, and it's more tinfoil, if you will. But Zack Snyder did reveal this today. He put out this, a little bonding as we raise the dead. And to me, there is a lot here to gather. First of all, right when you look at this, you instantly know this is the cemetery scene. This is where Jason tries to give a flask over to Wonder Woman, says if she wants a drink. She says no. This is when Flash and Cyborg are digging up the graves. Let the new guys dig up the graves while they just relax and wait for them to dig up the body. Right? A little bonding as we raise the dead. In terms of Flashpoint. They are in Zack Snyder's cut, and because he was going to make a Flashpoint but better, and he was going to have, these two were going to have tensions because they do get romantically involved in the Flashpoint, and maybe this was a little bit of hint towards that, where Arthur and Diana gets a little bit of that just to help you along. I mean, they even have a little bit of that in the ending of Aquaman on a newspaper clip where it says something to do with Wonder Woman or Aquaman, right? So a little bit of that, little bonding. And so that's where I want to leave the Flashpoint element out of that right now in terms of this picture, because the Snyder Cut could reveal itself, and maybe if it's so popular and awesome, they want to be able to connect the actual universe to the Snyder Cut, which would be pretty phenomenal. But let's not get there yet. We still need the Snyder Cut. Getting back to this picture only, taking out the Flashpoint element of this, and that really excites me as well, though. In terms of the Snyder Cut, a little bonding as we raise the dead. Like I said, they're just bonding as in the movie, as Barry and Victor is digging up Superman's body, right? So that's what. So at face value, that's what it's trying to say. When you think about it a little closer, it's a little bonding, it's a little bit of talking. It's almost like Zack Snyder, because he hasn't really posted anything for a while. And granted, he posted a lot during Christmas, but after that, it was kind of like a nothing for a while. But it's almost like saying, hey, it's just a little bonding with the fans, a little bonding with us, as he raises the dead. Raise the dead. Where have you heard that before? Superman. He may, we need him to rise again, right? He needs to be raised from the dead. A little bonding with the fans, a little bonding with us, as we raise the Snyder Cut, as we raise Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is him kind of just telling us, let's just have a conversation a little bit of something for you to taste, a little bit of the grail, as we continue to support and try to fight to get the Snyder Cut out. So here's a little bit for us, and that's what I think. Also, his Army of the Dead. It could be Army of the Dead reference as well. There's so many different references in this thing that it could mean all of that, or maybe just one of that, the one that's at face value. So I thought that was interesting, and it does get me excited. He does go on though. There was a lot of comments in the actual chat, but one thing I saw that was really interesting, Stephen Barton says 2020 let's go, and he also edited about his guitar vids, which I've yet to check out. Now I see this, I will. But he says 2020, let's go. And Zack Snyder says, let's. So indeed, I believe that 2020 is the big fight. This is it. 2020 will be do or die. The Snyder Cut will probably, hopefully will get announced real soon. And this year is the year 2020, 20 Vision. Clear vision. We'll find out what's going to happen with this, right? But Zack Snyder did not end there, right? He even revealed a little bit something else. Someone asked, did Alfred say, one misses the days when one's biggest concerns were exploding wind-up penguins in your cut? And that's the Alfred talking to Bruce on that plane as they're flying back to Gotham. And according to Zack Snyder, no. So that dialogue was not in his movie as well, which takes away a lot of the scenes in that official Comic-Con's sneak peek trailer, right? The second or third trailer, I think, would have that conversation in it, which means that Zack Snyder's Justice League is, you can really only take that very first teaser, Never Miss Hall H teaser, as his movie, and maybe even trailer 1. I could be confused by that, but essentially the first teaser, and also the behind the scenes video that he did after the shoot. Those two he posted himself on his Twitter handle, none of the other trailers. So that could potentially mean what he's trying to tell us is that those two are his. Whatever they done with the trailers after that, that's not him. None of those are him. And so, which means this movie, we've definitely not know what's going on. It's definitely a lot more altered than we think it is. Very much, it's a different movie. It's a different experience, and I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to watch it. And I'm just wondering, too, because he put this out not too long ago, listening to Camelot. I'm not going to go through the lyrics. I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay, he could be into that, and everybody's into rap and stuff like that. But I'm wondering if I'm thinking like maybe he's trying to tell us something here. I could not really see the, like, maybe he brought up, hey, listening to Camelot. Camelot is, of course, is where is associated with King Arthur and Arthurian, because that's where he stays. That's his castle. Camelot, that's his kingdom, right? Camelot, right? Well, not his kingdom. Camelot, that's his, where he resides. And I want to say, it's almost like, if putting on tinfoil, that perhaps with the whole thinking of the land and king are one, that it's not just him coming back. It's not just the grail that heals the land, but in terms of the kingdom has been healed too. The kingdom, his throne, has been healed too. Does that also mean the original DCEU, that the original DCEU possibly have been healed to in a way? We're going to get the Flashpoint that he was thinking of doing with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Batman, Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke in it. Are we going to get, or is David Ayer going to be able to move on and get his Gotham City Sirens that he was, I don't know if that was original DCU or not, but I'm just going to throw it in there because he was one of the original DCU directors. Is that all happening? Is this truly happening? Are we living in a different timeline? Did Flash truly change the future, truly change the timeline, and it's working in the favor of the people, the core audience, the core fans that enjoy the original DCU, that continues to fight for the original DCU, that continues to love and say, release the Snyder Cut, release Zack Snyder. We love Ben Affleck as Batman. We love Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke. We love David Ayer. We want them to release the David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad. And all that is going into the AI-driven film management system, and Warner Brothers and Sarnoff, John Stankey, whoever at AT&T is looking at it and saying, you know what? I think we were wrong about changing all this, and I think we have to go back to the original DCEU. That's big tinfoil for you, but like I said, that's just me and a few others for people who want to live, hope, and dream and believe. But if we continue to follow White Rabbit, I don't know. Let's see how deep that hole goes. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.